Hello investors and future investors, welcome to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I use the RSI or Relative Strength Index in order to grow my portfolio consistently over time. Now, if you're new to options and you're looking for that one indicator that you can use in order to make a better informed decision, then you have to stumble onto the right video. Welcome to Investment Gains. Let's jump right into it. Welcome back investors and future investors. My name is Tim and on this channel I show you how I use my portfolio in order to make consistent income. For today's video I'm going to be going over the Relative Strength Index and how I use this single indicator in order to get into any options contract. Now, despite what anyone have told you, there's only one sure way of learning options, and that is to practice. That being said, let's go ahead and get down and dirty with options. For today's video, we're going to be using Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD. Now, right before we go into our options video, I want to show you guys one source in which you guys could look for stocks in order to perform any option strategy. And we're going to go over to this website here, known as Finviz.com, as you can see to the top here. Now, what is the relevance of this website? This website depicts the stocks in the S&P 500 and it shows you the movement of those stocks within a particular time period. What you're seeing here right now is just the 1D performance. If you look to the left of the screen right here, it's going to show you 1D. What we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and jump into the 6-month performance and see how that timeline operated. Now, as you can see here, over the last 6 months, the market overall has been trending in a bullish direction, and that is depicted by all the green. Now we're going to go out just one more, and we go out to the 1-year performance. Now, once again, with the 1-year performance, we can see the overall sentiment of the market is once again green. Now, why did I bring this up? I brought this up to show you one thing. With all this green, there's a couple things that's in red that should really strike your attention. Most of the time, most people like to buy when the market is green. How I buy is whenever I see a stock in red. Whenever I see it in red, it piques my interest and then I go ahead and do my own due diligence. As you can see to the bottom here, we have AMD, which is a very popular stock and in my opinion, a very good stock, and it's in red. Not only is it in red, it's been trading at a 36% downward spiral over the last 1-year performance. Now, at this price, you're wondering, is this a good time to get into AMD? Well, that's what brings us to our video for today. So let's go ahead and jump back into Robinhood and back onto AMD. What we're going to do now is that we're going to go into Robinhood Advanced feature, and you can see that right here. We're going to go ahead, we're going to click into it, and that's going to open up a graph. Now, here we are on the Advanced feature of Robinhood, and what we're going to be focusing today is this line to the bottom here. This line right here is known as your RSI or your Relative Strength Index. Now, Robinhood does a pretty decent job of showcasing the RSI, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into a different website in order to give you a more beautiful picture. That website is going to be stockcharts.com. We're going to go ahead, we're going to type in AMD. Now, I want to give you guys the information as raw and unadulterated as possible. So there are going to be a very few edits. I want you guys to see exactly how this thing opens up. Now, as you can see here, we have an entire graph here, and the graph does not feature an RSI. The RSI should be down here. In order for it to get the RSI, you're going to go ahead all the way down to the bottom, and all you need to do is just switch up the parameters. So what we're going to do now, we're going to replace the MACD, and we're going to replace that with the RSI. We're going to scroll down. Once the RSI comes up, we're going to select it. Now we're going to update your chart, and then the RSI should be featured directly in the bottom. Let's see. Okay, here it is in the bottom. Now we're going to go ahead and explain the RSI. Okay, so the RSI or the Relative Strength Index is a momentum indicator which tells you what direction the stock is taking. The RSI gives us a measurement between 0 down here to the bottom and also 100. But what most of us traders focus in is the movement between the 70 RSI and the 30 RSI. What this does is that any stock trading down below this 30 mark right here. As you can see, AMD touched it a couple times. This tells us that the stock is in oversold territory. Means a lot of people are selling out of this stock. Now, the reverse of that, if you go to the 70 mark, anytime a stock goes above that 70 mark, and once again, AMD has touched that a couple times, that now tells you that that stock has been overbought. This is not the only indicator or action that should be used in order for you to make a decision. Now, there are people that are buying right here because obviously is in oversold territory, as well as there's a lot of people that are selling out of the stock here because it's in overbought territory. Now, how do I use the RSI in order to make a decision? Well, first things first, the sweet spot for me is going to be this center line here, which represents the 50 RSI. The 50 RSI gives me a better indication of what direction the stock is taking, and it helps me to determine exactly what strategy I want to do with that stock. Now, with AMD right now, right here, you see it's already bounced off here and it's going up. So now I have a clear indicator that AMD is in an upward trend. Although it has not hit the 50 yet, this is good enough for me. So how am I going to utilize that information to my benefit? Well, I'm glad you asked, and now we're going to go ahead and jump back into Robinhood. So right before I go ahead and show you the option strategies that I'm going to use, being that I saw the RSI is trading upwards going towards the 50 mark, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a bit more information concerning the RSI on Robinhood. So like I mentioned earlier, the RSI is down here. Now, the RSI alone is not a good indicator. In order to be able to make an even better informed decision, you could also go to the top here and you could select your time period. Now, every single option trader out there is correct 100% of the time. The one thing that we all get wrong is the time frame. So the time frame is extremely important. As the time frame changes, so too you can see your RSI is going to change in the bottom. Right now your RSI is at 51, and if I were to go out to the 1 year mark, you could see it's going to change just barely slightly. There you go, it's at 45. Now, if you were to go over here to the RSI 50, you could click the bell icon right here. What that bell icon does is that it allows you to set up notifications of wherever you want to be notified. Depends on what part of the RSI the stock is trading at. So feel free to go ahead and change this number that best suits you. Now, the next thing that can be altered with the RSI on Robinhood, you could go into the settings right here, and you could also change the time period and the RSI top level or RSI bottom level. Just a bit extra information that you guys could use. Now, what strategies am I going to use? Being I got that information that the RSI is in an upward momentum going towards the 50 mark. Well, I'm glad you asked, because the number one strategy that comes to mind right away, right off the bat, is what's called DCA or dollar cost average. With the dollar cost average, what an investor or trader is going to do is that they're going to continue to pick up shares as the price of the stock keeps going up. What that does is that it gives you an average cost which is going to be lower than if you were to go ahead and jump headfirst into the stock by buying lots of shares in order to trade options. Now, the other strategy I would use for this is going to be one of my favorite strategies of all time. So for that, let's go ahead and open up the option chain. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose our buy, and we're going to go to our call, and then we're going to select our expiration date all the way out. Just for the purposes of this video, and remember, this is merely an example, we're going to be using the date of January 16th, 2023. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose a strike price that most interests us. And remember, before getting into any options trade, always make sure you do your own due diligence. And besides that, always make sure you have an exit strategy before entering any option contract. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to choose the $100 strike price. And because I choose the 100 strike price, I'm going to be buying. So I'm going to have to pay $28.50. Let's go ahead and click into that. This option strategy is known as a LEAPS option strategy. LEAP stands for Long-Term Equity Anticipation Security. What a LEAPS option does is that it allows you to control 100 shares of the stock. Now, why would anyone want to control 100 shares of a stock? Well, I'm not sure about anyone, but I know what I do with my portfolio, and this is what I do. I go ahead and I purchase leaps whenever the RSI is below 50, heading back up in an upwards momentum. And then I purchase my leaps and then I go ahead and sell covered calls. So I'm going to go ahead real quick and show you the covered call strategy. So I'm going to go now to sell on call. And now I'm going to change my strike date. I'm going to go ahead and choose something much closer now. We're going to be going with the February 28th. And then now I'm going to choose my price above the current share price. As you can see, the share price is trading at 114.9. So I'm going to go right ahead and choose it above that. And I'm going to be going with the $124 strike price. Now, with the $124 strike price, I'm going to be paid what's known as a premium. That premium I'm going to be paid is going to be 0.48. In real life, that 0.48 works out to be $48. Every time you do a covered call against your leaps option, you're going to be receiving premium. That premium is what you're going to use to grow your portfolio consistently over time. And that is how I use the RSI indicator in order to make an informed decision of what strategies I'm going to use in order to get into the stock. Now, if you guys want to know what strategies that I would decide to use if the RSI is at the 70 level, then just let me know in the comments below. Just type out RSI. Now, to put it quite simply, RSI is one of those indicators that most traders use. We use this indicator in order for us to make informed decisions before getting into an option contract. Now, when it comes to my personal portfolio, I like to use the RSI at its lowest level, but I must see clear signs of upward momentum before I get into any option strategy that I decide. If the RSI is trading from the 30 RSI going upwards towards the 50, then I would like to implement the DCA or dollar cost averaging strategy, or the most important strategy in my portfolio right now, which is going to be the leaps option strategy. And then I'm going to go ahead and sell consistent weekly or monthly cover calls in order to grow my portfolio consistently. Now, if you could resonate with this video, or you're trying to grow a small account portfolio, then go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, share the video with someone you think that can benefit from its content. And if you need any information on how to join the weekly income team, then it's going to be in the description below. Until the next video, keep pushing your investments.